Australia will wind back its military operations against Islamic State after the Iraqi Prime Minister declared victory over the extremist group, which 3 years ago seized control of large swathes of the region. Defence Minister Marise Payne announced on Friday that Australia's contribution to US-led coalition airstrikes will end, while emphasising that other operations, including the training, advising and assisting of local forces, would continue. After more than 3 years of air operations, the number of coalition airstrike commissions has steadily dropped since the last major population centre, Hawija, was captured in October, Senator Payne said on Friday. Following discussions with Iraq and with members of the international coalition, the Australian government has determined that we will bring home our 6 Super Hornet strike aircraft from the Middle East, marking the end of Australia's airstrike operations in Iraq and Syria. About 800 Australian military personnel have been involved in Operation Okra, mostly in Iraq. These include approximately 300 Air Force personnel, 300 Army trainers and several dozen Special Forces troops advising and assisting Iraqis. Senator Payne said the priority was now holding territory that had been retaken and emphasised that Australia's E-7 Wedge tail surveillance aircraft and KC-30 a refuelling aircraft would continue to support operations, as would the training and Special Forces personnel. Australia is committed to supporting the Iraqi security forces as it clears the remaining pockets of Daesh fighters in rural areas and ensuring the long-term stability of Iraq, Senator Payne said. Earlier this month, Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said the last remnants of Islamic State had been driven from his country and that the border with Syria had been secured. Mr. al-Abadi's announcement followed the Russian military's declaration that Islamic State forces in Syria had been defeated. Mosul, the group's power center in northern Iraq, fell in July after a 9-month campaign that saw much of the city destroyed. Islamic State's Syrian capital Raqqa fell in September. The conflict has had a devastating impact on Iraq and Syria, with more than 3 million people displaced, according to the United Nations. Independent monitoring groups have released estimates that as many as 6,000 civilians have been killed in the US-led aerial bombing campaign. The coalition itself estimates 800 civilian deaths as a result of its 28,000 strikes. Australian forces have conducted 2750 bombing runs, with 2,400 precision-guided bombs dropped. The collapse of Islamic State's caliphate has come with a warning that the group will continue to engage in guerrilla warfare across the region and operate as a global terror network, inspiring or planning attacks in Western countries. Intelligence agency ASIO recently said more than 100 Australians were still believed to be fighting with extremist groups in the region. Labor welcomed the announcement and said it was in Australia's national interest to deny terror groups the ungoverned spaces they need to take root.